I'm back with mega movie numbers for you all. This is where we run down the top 20 selling 4K Ultra HD discs of the past week. I go through all those titles and give you my thoughts and recommendations on every single one. And then, of course, we get into the market share breakdown in the physical media world, looking at the different disc formats and see how well they're selling. And there's shocks and surprises for DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks this time, so I can't wait to get into those numbers. But before we get into all this physical media goodness, if you love collecting physical media just like me and having a great place to talk movies with friends, you want to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, mega smash that like button. That way you stay entertained and up to date on all this physical media greatness. And then, of course, leave in the comments below, go ahead and predict what you think is going to be the number one selling 4K Ultra HD disc of this week. Before I get to it, of course, don't cheat now. All right, next up, we got to get into this list with starting at the bottom, working our way to the top. We got Gremlins coming in at number 20 here from Warner, and this is an all-time favorite kind of family spooky movie. If you haven't seen it, what are you doing? You got to check it out. It's a great one. Next up, we got Sleepy Hollow from Paramount, another great spooky movie, Tim Burton style. Got Johnny Depp, got Christina Ricci, and this movie looks gorgeous in 4K. Next up, we got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Still my favorite film of the year. Has so many great 4K editions. Happy it's still on the list. Next up, we got Elemental from Disney, which I think is an underrated animated movie. This is fantastic animation style here. Got great characters. It's a rom-com from Pixar, and so it's just really fun and different from anything they've done. I highly recommend. Next up, we got The Nightmare Before Christmas, another great Disney title, amazing music and characters. This is another perfect one for the whole family. Next up, we got Lawrence of Arabia, which is an all-time epic classic. If you haven't seen this one and you consider yourself a movie buff, you got to check it out at least one time. Just know it's an extremely long movie. You got to plan a day around it. Next up, we got Poltergeist from Warner, and Poltergeist is a great family spooky movie as well. And you know what? I enjoy this one. I picked it up on 4K myself. Next up, we got The Shining from Warner, and everybody loved this one. It's so highly regarded Stanley Kubrick film. So yeah, definitely should check that one out as well. Next up, we got a new one here. Finally, we got Night of the Demons from Shout Studios. Now, I haven't seen this movie at all. It looks super creepy from the front cover here. I heard some pretty good things about this one, just creeping people out, so I might have to check this one out eventually. Next up, we got The Exorcist from Warner. Still haven't seen this all but beloved classic spooky movie. I have to see this one. I will see it soon. Next up, we got Evil Dead Rise from Warner. Just came out with that nice 4K Steelbook edition, and I quite like this one. I really enjoyed the Evil Dead franchise, and this was a solid entry. All right, next up, we got John Wick Chapter 4 from Lionsgate, because it's John Wick Chapter 4. It's just going to be on here the whole year and maybe even into next year. Next up, we got a new one here from Universal. It Came from Outer Space, 1953. This cover kind of looks cool. I want to see more classic sci-fi and spooky movies, so I have to check this one out, but you guys will have to let me know in the comments, is it worth my time? Is it worth a blind buy? All right, next up, we got The Lost Boys from Warner on a great discount deal right now, and this is an awesome movie. A great kind of home invasion sequence towards the end with vampires. It's a fun time. Next up, we got Loki, the complete first season from Disney and Marvel, and I did enjoy the first season. Overall, we got season 2 going on right now, and it's just cool that Marvel finally put some stuff out on 4K Steelbooks for their streaming stuff. Next up, we got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse from Sony, and I absolutely love this film. One of the best films of the year. Gorgeous animation, great story. Now we got a whole bunch of new titles. This is where the new ones come in, and we gotta have Talk to Me from Lionsgate. A lot of people love this A24 title. I thought it was solid enough, but I didn't love it like most. And then we got another new one here with Scream 3. Just watched this one on 4K. It did look really nice, and I'm just a big fan of the Scream franchise overall. Next up, we got The Mist from Lionsgate, which to me is like the best Lionsgate steelbook of the year. It's so gorgeous. I just love the design. I love the way the discs look. I did a whole, short little unboxing on my channel if you want to check that one out. Next up, our number one here. Let's see if anybody predicted this from 20th Century. We got Prey. Yes, Prey came out the 4K slipcover steelbook edition if you're able to get your hands on it. I really liked this movie when I streamed it, and I do want to get it on 4K eventually. but I do want it to get discounted because you know those Disney prices are a little bit outrageous. But there we go. Those were the top 20 selling 4K Ultra HD discs of the past week. Now let's get into talking some market share breakdown with these disc formats. Now taking a look at these numbers, and I am shocked here with 4Ks and how well they're doing. They're at 24%. That's the largest percentage I've seen since starting this mega movie number journey. So I'm like jaw dropped right now. That is great if you love the premium 4K Ultra HD format. And they had a ton of new titles. We saw a lot of new ones towards the top of the list. That's probably why they sold so much. So I think it just comes down to those titles. Do you got amazing titles coming out on 4K? Now, Blu-rays are still doing well. They had a slight drop, but nothing to kind of write home about. They're still around that 30%, which I love as well. But now you got DVDs under 50%, 40-something percent. I mean, are people clearing out their DVDs and diving into 4Ks? We always kind of have this question every time I see 4Ks doing well. But I mean, this is such a massive jump for 4Ks. I know it's probably going to drop next week, but we're going to have to keep an eye on this. How much is it going to drop? Are we still going to have above a 15% marker for 4Ks? If we do, that means 4Ks are doing great and they're kind of ramping up their customers out there for this premium format. But you guys are going to have to let me know in the comments below. First of all, what do you think of the numbers? Were you guys shocked by them as I was? And then also, what 4K Ultra HD disc did you pick up last week? What were your favorites? What would you recommend out to people? Let's just have fun talking some movies. And if you enjoyed this physical media news topic, blockbuster another one right now. And thank you so much, my mega membership supporters.